Mason.
I'll help her out. Like to call the Groseal Township Downtown Development Authority meeting to order. The first item on our agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. Ms. Pusak, would you lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our next item on the agenda is roll call. Mr. Moran is here. Supervisor Posarelli is excused. Mr. Anderson? Here. Ms. Armiak?
Here.
Ms. Pusak?
Here.
Mr. Ranley?
Here.
Ms. Stanko? Ms. Karn?
Here.
Mr. Jacobson? Next item is our approval of the agenda for the May 22nd, 2025 agenda.
Approve.
By Ms. Armiak,
All support.
support by Ms. Pusak. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Motion carries. Next item is presentations. No presentations tonight. Public comment. There's no one in the public tonight, so we will move on to the next item, which is the approval of the minutes of April 24th, 2025.
I'll move to approve.
Motion by Ms. Pusak,
I will second.
supported by Mr. Anderson. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Motion carries. Our next item is a motion or an item to approve the April 2025 financial update.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion by Ms. Karn,
Support.
supported by Ms. Armiak. Ross, anything unusual about the financial report? Or anything you'd like to point out?
So how many videos, I guess, do they shoot for that dollar amount?
We'd approve that. I think that's a good question. I think it's $300 a video. Cause I think that's about 4 to 5 hours of work. We approved that contract a year and a half ago. I would have to dig into that.
Just curious.
Yeah, but that's through from January to March, and we posted quite a bit. We've been making pretty consistent postings out there. She's been doing a fantastic job too, so pretty happy with the work. But other than that, just maintenance, cleaning up at Macomb Commons with mulch and gardening on our existing contract with more landscaping. But that was the largest expense this.
Going back to the videos, where are those posted?
Facebook and Instagram. And then my goal is to have them up somewhere on our website as well. Just haven't found a spot to put them just yet.
Okay, I think that would be a good idea if you could
Yeah.
get it
Yeah.
on the DDA website.
All right. We could probably put it. Yeah, we could probably put it on the township's YouTube page too. I'll get with Brian Friel on that tomorrow. That's a good idea. Thank you.
Anything else? Any other questions, comments? Hearing none, we've got a motion by Ms. Karn, supported by Ms. Armiak. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Motion carries. Next item is our action items. Item number 1 is a motion to approve the downtown development and the TIF plan update RFP. Somebody wants to make a motion, then we can have some discussion.
Or to discuss. Sorry.
Motion by Ms. Karn,
To discuss.
I support.
supported by Mr. Ranley. Under discussion.
Alrighty. Oh, did you want to start that off?
No,
Sorry.
go ahead.
Alrighty. So as we discussed several times, we want to extend the life of the DDA to continue the work that we do, and for you all to volunteer in your community and do public improvements along Macomb Street. So this essentially, what we're doing is essentially sending out an RFP, which would be tomorrow, to extend the life of the DDA from, depending on when we adopt that plan, for an extra 20 years. So I've outlined basically the purpose of this. when, specific dates and, when we anticipate certain events to happen, when we anticipate getting RFP collections or bids, submittals from consultants to do the work, and when we would have, and also contents of what we would like to see in that plan. So I think today our DDA, TIF, and development plan mostly focuses on Pocket Park acquisition, which I think that recommendation led to the purchase of Lions Park. And some streetscape elements to it that just never got accomplished. So I think that, once we kind of walk through this, there's pretty specific stuff that we would like to see so that we could bond out. I'm not sure exactly how much that money would be. I'm not sure how much did we bond out in 2012, or was that in?
I think it was a couple million.
Yeah. So basically, this plan would allow us to bond out, basically get a loan to do large, projects along Macomb Street, like improvements to sidewalks, crosswalks, just like streetscape enhancements along Macomb Street. And, walking, later we'll talk about the signage for the social district, but the graphic designer and myself went out there and walked the entire street. I'm not sure how often you guys are able to do that, but when you're walking and really paying attention, there's a lot of stuff to do, and that Wayne County just simply won't, probably end up fixing, right? So that's sort of the discussion. Maybe once we go through this planning process, which will probably be around 6 months of working with the consultant to develop this plan, we can all kind of go out there and walk the street and look at specific things that we're looking for. Ron, I don't know if you have anything else before I dive into this, but.
Is the typical extension 20 years?
I believe so.
Typically.
Yeah. Yep.
Because I think we should do that at least 20 years. If, we might want to look at, does it make sense to go longer? I just throw that out that we should look at that to see if, we might want to go longer.
Yeah, I think, I'm not sure what the statute, like the state statute says for DDAs, or it might be actually a federal law, whether if you can extend it to 100 years or it can only be 20-year increments. But regardless, I'm sure we can work that out with the consultant too. I mean, they would definitely know the legal parameters around that. So.
And I definitely agree with you that if you walk that street, it's way different than when you drive it.
Yeah.
So don't know how many people walk the street, but you really get a different sense for how much improvements could be made to the street when
Right.
you walk it, and you see, there's some properties aren't very well kept and, need repair and things like that. And even some of the public improvements, that we could spend our money on, you get a better sense when you're walking it than when you drive.
Yeah. Yeah.
You have an idea of like what you expect this to cost?
This.
Not the extension, but the scope of work for the.
Oh, the scope of work. I mean, if it was how much was it again? I'm sorry, you just said the number, but I forgot. Back in 2012 or what have you.
Oh, no, that was for the bond.
For the bond.
But you're talking about what it's going to cost for the planner to.
The planner,
to do
yeah.
that.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. So it'd be like $30,000 probably, and we have
was-
grant
yeah.
funds for
I was
that.
going to say could be as high as 50, but probably not that high.
Yeah. I mean, we're not going to go super in depth. Like our existing DDA TIF plan isn't very in depth. It just says, here's your finance income, here's your expense, or here's your tax increment finance collection over a period of 20 plus years. And that basically provides you with the legal authority to collect tax increment funds. So, and then the description of the projects that are within the plan, like pocket park acquisition, or in this case, streetscape enhancements, allows you to spend that money on whatever's in the plan.
We have to have a revised plan in order to apply for the extension. I guess my question is, you know, for 30 to 50 grand, I mean, that existing plan still has a lot that hasn't been implemented, or walking the street, like, do we really need to spend that money to?
You do, because right now our plan ends. So, what year is it? Is it,
2032.
okay, so at 2032, DDA's out of business.
And
if we don't
you need a
extend.
new plan. We
Yes.
can't just say this existing plan we did
Correct.
7 years ago. Okay, got it.
Also, you can't get, just for the sake, a loan to do a large-scale infrastructure project because the life of our plan is only till 2032. So they're not going to say, hey, yeah, we'll lend you a loan and, we'll expect to get it, $3 million back in 7 years, even though you only collect, $200,000 in taxes a year.
Got it.
So it's a matter of stretching out the existing collections that we have over a 30-year or 20 to 30-year period, so we can get that loan to do the work now to
Okay.
make improvements and pay that off over a long term. Yeah.
And there's nothing that says we're going to bond or going to
Right.
borrow money. It just allows us, it's in place that if we want to do that, we can do it. So we don't want to lock ourselves into a spot that we can't do it if we ever want to.
Right. Yeah. We good? You want me to dive into this document further? Just
I read through it. I don't know if everybody else,
yeah.
Do I
I
didn't.
mean,
Okay.
does anybody need Ross to go through this in a little more detail?
No, I don't.
I mean, basically what they do, you have to have a certain amount of public hearings.
Yep.
You got to extend it for a certain period of time, and then you have to list what you're going to do with the money. And most plans purposely are very general in how it's described. So you have some ability to sort of do a lot of different things when you describe what you're going to do in general terms instead of real specific.
Yep.
You could say you're going to plant 50 trees, or you can say you're going to do landscaping along Macomb.
Yep.
That gives you a lot of leeway to do landscaping kind of where you want, where if you say, I'm going to plant 50 trees, then you got to plant 50 trees.
Yeah. All right. Great.
Well, if there's no other comments or questions, we have a motion by Ms. Carnes, supported by Mr. Ranley. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Motion carries. Next item is a motion to approve the business improvement grant application for Meridian Center LLC, which is at 9105 Macomb Street, in the amount of $5,000.
9105 is the address for MBA.
But we're a suite also, so it's that building. So each, like MBA is a suite, and then like UMI's a suite.
Say that again, Susie.
So we're considered suite. So the main address is 9105, but then
Okay.
it's suite. I can't remember what suite
Okay.
number it is.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
then like all of them in that row all have their own suite number because we have a common mailbox.
Oh, okay. So it's like Kathy's and all of that?
It's all of it. Yeah.
Oh,
It's
that's
all
good.
owned by the same.
Kind of bizarre that they have the same name. Huh.
Yeah. So it's Meridian Center LLC.
Okay.
Owns like that entire parcel basically.
Just from my standpoint, comment-wise, the grant program is and was established for, basically for facade improvements and/or landscaping or signage improvements to improve a building or the look of a building that would include signage. This request is for some charging stations, which to me has nothing to do with a facade improvement. So I am not in favor of this grant application. Anyone like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion not to approve.
Got a motion by Mr. Anderson. Is there any support?
I'll support. I mean, it doesn't meet the parameters. is what we're saying.
Yes. Okay, we got a motion by Mr. Anderson, supported by Ms. Pusak to deny the grant request for 9105 Macomb Street. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Motion carries. And you are, when you voted aye, that meant you were
Or no.
voting against approving.
Thank you.
And this is the same person that, they just made a major improvement into the property, and we supported that last
Yes,
year. We supported the major improvement.
they've already got one grant from
Yeah.
the DDA.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay,
That-
moving on.
That met the parameter.
Right.
Okay.
Our next action item is a motion to approve the event sponsorship application for Island Fest in the amount of $2,885.50. And Ross, before we vote on this, we don't want to call it the event sponsorship, right? We just want to call it, we're making a payment towards the Island Fest
Correct.
parade.
Yep, correct, yep.
And the reason we're making that distinction is, if you remember on our application, the most we're giving someone is $1,000. And so this is really not a sponsorship through that process. This is just, we've been supporting them since I think the DDA's been
Right,
active. And so it's just a yearly,
It's an event that happens on Macomb Street.
right.
Yeah, so
Yeah, we're just, it's just a matter of pulling it from a different fund, that's it.
I'll
So-
make a motion to support.
motion by Ms. Pusak,
Second?
supported by Ms. Armiak. And again, it's, the motion is to approve a payment for Island Fest in the amount of $2,888.50. All those in favor say aye.
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 All opposed say no. Motion carries. Our next item is our discussion items, and our first item is the social district boundary signs and pavement markings plan.
All right. So as mentioned, our graphic designer and I went out and walked around Macomb Street, I think last week or the week before, to figure out locations and different types of signage treatments for the social district. And let me just back up. We did get approved by the state for the social district, so it is fully live. If I could zoom out here.
That was quick.
Yeah, it happened really quick, actually. I thought we had another month or two, and they didn't even let us know that we were approved. I just went and checked their site, and we were listed on the social district site, so. All right, well, either way. So, what we have proposed, and we'll show you all examples as we go down. So, for the entry of Macomb Street, to have pavement markings, so on the sidewalk, right as you walk into Macomb Street, there'll be pavement treatments, and then 2 signs. And then at each entrance of the commons would be either signage and pavement markings or just pavement markings. And then at Park Lane, there's only one sidewalk. The sidewalk extends on the west side of Park Lane, so we'd only have to put 2 signs there, and then obviously across Macomb Street. So the boundary really ends here on Park Lane. So we would have you're entering the social district and exiting the social district on both ends of Park Lane. And then at Lions Park, the sidewalk leaving the park onto Lions Road, we would have to put a sign there because they'd be leaving the social district. And then on the sidewalk entering Macomb Street, I can't remember. Oh yeah, we would have to put one there because there's a sidewalk on the other side. So we'd have to put another marking there. And then obviously at the east end of Macomb, right by Nate's. So we're proposing pavement markings and signage there too. So let's just kind of show you what we got here. So this is the proposed sign for entering the social district right here at Park Lane. So actually, and then it'll tell you, you know, Lloyd's is this far away, Perdino's is this far away, Sully's is that far away, the Literary Hideaway is that far away. And this is just going to be the generic sign for anywhere when you're leaving the district boundary, right here. And then, of course, you know, we have QR codes that tell you that you can scan to, and it'll take you to our site and tell you everything about the social district. And then at both ends of Macomb Street, we would have the map with the businesses that are participating with their logos as well. I'm not sure if we're going to have signage like this at the bottom here at each entryway, because it's sort of, you know, it's all that way, right? When you're walking down, right? It's all that way. So it's either east or west. So those are just some examples. And these are the sign renderings up close. And I can share these all with you after this meeting. I literally just got these like 2 hours ago. So just sort of showing you visually what we're thinking of, the route we're going with everything. So this is an example of the pavement marking at the Commons. I was thinking that instead of having to put up a sign, we could just have a pavement marking on both ends, say you are entering the social district, and then when you're leaving the social district. But it kind of looks a little wonky because when you walk in, you also see lettering that's upside down going that way. So I'm like, I'm not quite sure what to do here. So that's sort of what it would look like when you're walking up, right? So I think that we might, like, option 1 probably makes the most sense, where it says no alcohol behind this, you know, beyond this point. And then when you walk into the Commons, maybe we have a sign right here that says entering the social district. So,
Look nice.
So it would be this pavement treatment, no alcohol beyond this point here, and then a sign that says social district. Because putting up signs within the park, when we were looking at it, you're going to have signs at 3 entry points, and you're just, you know, you see them and it looks a little tacky. So, yep,
So
Rick.
coming out of the Commons towards Macomb, you're exiting the social district,
So yeah, the Commons is part of the social district.
but the sidewalk in front of the Commons is not.
So this is looking from Meridian. So like Meridian, when you're looking at this picture here,
Oh,
like
you're
Meridian's
right.
behind
I got you. Yeah.
And then you're walking into the Commons here.
I thought it was the one facing Macomb. You're right.
Yeah. So and then and then there's the other. Where's the other? Yeah.
The other one would be towards the parking lot.
Yep. So and then the parking lot right here, and then the other one, there's the entrance from Macomb Street too. So actually, we wouldn't have to have
Put
anything
one there,
there.
okay.
Yeah. Good point. Thanks.
Save me there.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. So so it'd just be I think what I was thinking was from the sidewalk, or from the
There you would.
yeah, there. That's what I was thinking. Okay. So then, as we go down here, so these will be the storefront window signs. So social districts, drinks not permitted here. So, you know, if you don't want to participate, no matter what type of, you know, if you're a retail business and you don't want drinks in your store, you know, you can put that up. And then for the 4 establishments we have now that has, that can sell them, that will have that in their window. And then for those who welcome social district drinks, we'll have this in their window. And then we have renderings of the cups, what they will look like. I'll be sure to put this on our website too, because it has our mural in Lions Park there. So yeah, this is sort of what I discussed earlier. So option 1 would be pavement markings for every entry and exit. So when I looked up at you guys and when I was explaining that the lettering was upside down, you guys were all in agreement that probably is not a good idea. So,
Yes.
Okay, we'll go with option 2 then. So we're good there.
So going
It
back
didn't bother
to
me so much. I know I'm
Where-
an
Oh, really?
I didn't bother me either. I
It
was
didn't
okay
bother
with
me
that.
either. I almost wonder if when you're leaving, if the 2 signs on the brick fencing pillars say no alcohol beyond this point. And then as you're coming in on the ground, it's you are now entering, and on the ground, it's you are now exiting. But then as you're leaving, it's really clear there's no alcohol
Right,
beyond this point.
right.
Upside down doesn't bother me so much, but
Okay. Okay. But maybe we'll explore that a little bit more. Maybe I can get the graphic designer to give us more like options of like actually putting the signs on the pillars and at, you know, having more visual representation of what that would look like. And then maybe if you guys could before our next meeting, like just kind of look at the commons when you're, you know, on your way to work or what have you, and just kind of think about it a little bit.
walk through and say,
Yeah.
I didn't know.
Yeah,
I didn't
right.
see it.
Yeah.
Well, I just don't like the marking on the sidewalk seems like a prominent feature of a commons park that's going to be used very little for actual like alcohol consumption. Like to say no alcohol, I think kind of takes away from the aesthetics of a park that sits on the corner of
Yeah.
Macomb
I
and
like
Meridian.
the word alcohol, like
Yeah.
plastered, I'm like, eh.
Yeah. Yeah, okay.
That's
I
on
mean-
the interior though. The no alcohol beyond this point. It's on
I
the
think that
inside of it.
we can simply have it say social district boundary ends here. We don't have to say anything about alcohol.
That's a good
Yeah.
solution.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah,
Okay.
I like that.
Is it important to have like right now we have these four, but one, Galindo's may join in. Do other social districts like list every place, or
Nope.
is
Yeah.
that necessary? I guess I'm just asking.
Well, then I guess the next question would be to that is if somebody were to join, what is the expense to add another name? Because obviously if I did it, I would want my name on there as well. So
Right.
what would that do to our funds too?
No, yeah, that's a totally valid point. We had lightly discussed we lightly discussed that when we were walking, and then she just, brought this to me 2 hours ago. So yeah, I mean, we can totally go a different route with this, and just eliminate that. I mean, I think that the intent was good, right? We want to show people what we have here, right? But if it financially doesn't make sense, and then to change out all the signage, and then purchase more,
That was my
100.
yeah. How do we add or deplete or whatever? So,
yeah, no, I think that's totally that's a totally valid point. So I'll be sure to share out with her about that too. So, is there anything else up until this point? Okay. So I don't think that we necessarily need pavement markings here when you first enter in. We could just have a sign as a clear mark. I mean, having two different signs telling you that you're about to enter a district might be a little bit overkill. But just want to provide you with that option that we could have pavement markings here. So the pavement markings would be here, and the new social district, the sign would be attached to this light pole here. And then proposed pavement treatment here with the new sign here. What are your guys' thoughts?
So you're thinking there's going to be a pavement marking and a sign?
Right. I mean, that's what we had kind of thought, but
That
Yeah,
seems
I
a lot.
would recommend we just do one.
just one, perfect.
Trenton has just a sign, correct?
Yeah, yep. We just saw some pretty cool examples in Howell, and I think Farmington has pavement markings too. So we wanted to incorporate it somewhere.
I like the pavement marking myself, but
Yeah. So we wanted to integrate
many,
it somewhere, but but maybe not doing it too much to where it's like, okay, we're trying to do too much
Yeah.
here. You know?
Yeah, I think any kind of overkill would be on the other opposite side saying you can't go beyond this point if you're going to overkill signage.
Sure, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
The welcoming, I think,
It's fine.
pretty obvious.
Well, to your point, now we have the exiting signs. So, so we do have to clearly mark when you're exiting, right? So it would be, so the welcoming, like we have proposed here, welcome on this side, exit on this side. So, and same thing on that existing sign that we'd have to put here in the easement for the welcoming sign. There would have to be an exit sign as well.
So maybe it would be more aesthetically pleasing to have it on the ground as opposed to all these signs.
Yeah.
As I keep thinking, you know, and then even the backwards one we were talking about, it doesn't really bother you. You're entering, you're exiting. So I don't like ton of signs.
Yeah.
Because I think it takes away from the aesthetics of the rest of our street, but I know we have to show it. I'm just,
Hmm.
I like the pavement markings, I think, better than all these signs up on the street.
Okay. So, did we want to put a sign here for entering, or did you want to have pavement markings for entering and exiting?
We can have a two-sided sign, right? One side enter, and the other one.
Yeah, yeah. So
Exiting.
that's what it would be. It would be just like how on this light post, it'd be an enter and exit sign on either side. This new sign that would go here would be an enter exit sign on both sides. And then for the pavement, we could do the same thing with the lettering, one being upside down and then the other one.
There would still be something you see when you're driving. I know we're not like a destination where everyone's coming, but there are still going to be people who are going to be driving to Macomb Street and need some sort of visual, and they're not looking at a flat surface. Of
Right.
Where does this start? Because you know that
sure.
Yeah.
understand
Yeah,
and know.
right,
So they need something.
right.
Ross, that spot on that grass area at Macomb and Meridian, you know, we have a light pole and that's somewhat close to that. That's been hit about 6 times.
Oh, really? Okay.
So that's not going to last, a sign right there.
Maybe we could move it.
Yeah, you might have to put it on the other side.
Yeah. Okay. All right, so are we thinking just signs and keeping it simple? Or are we thinking adding pavement markings too?
I think we should do a combination of both.
Okay.
And, you know, maybe if you want to work on putting together a plan and bring it back to us at the next meeting, maybe.
Yep.
Is where we should, kind of a mix of both, but not too many signs, I think.
Yep.
I mean, based on what you've seen and just recently walked, do you have a preference, a recommendation?
I think that it would suffice with just signs and but I think that the pavement markings would look pretty cool too, though. I mean, you don't see it in a whole lot of social districts and downtowns. I think it adds a unique character to it, but
I agree with you, and I know we had in the master plan there were some ideas around crosswalks and corner paintings. Like if there was a broader plan to do that, I think the painted markings would be a great addition to do that.
yeah.
Or start the start of doing that, and if we like it and it lasts and whatnot. But I'm indifferent. So
Okay.
you know,
Yeah, I think that the other thing that this boils down to as well is, you know, what's the cost of adding all, you know, pavement marking signs? I haven't explored those at all yet. So that's the other thing is we would have to RFP this out too and get, because I think it's probably going to cost around like $5,000 to $8,000, hopefully not too much, for all these signs and posts too.
I think that's a good point to find out what this is going to cost. That might help determine
Yeah,
which of the two we
yeah,
decide to go.
yeah. I guess I just wanted to give you guys this, you know, this be part of the decision making process of, you know, what do you guys see going where, and then pitching that out to a consultant. So, all right. Well, then I guess we'll just kind of move along here. But so yeah, this is at Park Lane in Macomb. Just simply a sign here, both entering and exiting. So leaving the social district here and here. So this is looking south on on Park Lane, and then this is looking north. So it'd be on the inside, or be just on the outside of the sidewalk and the road here. So to your point, Ron, maybe look at. Well, I think this is private property here, so we would have to stay out of there. But maybe just moving this.
I would consult with Rains
Yep. Yep.
at the location of these.
Okay. Cool. And this is the point here at Lions Park, and I think that this is kind of where, to Marie, I think that you had mentioned, not having liquor or alcohol mentioned, you're entering the social district, because these are where the kids are going to come through here, and they're like, oh wow, we can drink booze. So it's so just having some sort of marker maybe inside of or right here, just saying social district boundary. And then here as well. And then right by Nate, so this is the driveway going into the old Nate site. So the boundary would end right here. So we just put it on this lamp post. And then we would need a new sign and potential welcome or exiting pavement markings depending on price at either end here. So this is looking west west. That's it. Oh, that was kind of long and a little boring, but
Do we have to have those, so we're approved, we have to get, or cups and, do these markings have to be up before it is permitted?
yes, yeah. So that's where, it's pretty important that we figure out what we want, where we want it, and everything, because I already have one sign guy that's really good. He's done a few social district signage plans, and not plans, but installations. So I'm going to reach out to him tomorrow and give him an approximate of what we're thinking, what kind of, and then based off of that quote, depending on the township policy, if we have to go out to RFP and get a formal bid on it, and just get that done as quick as possible. So this might be a situation where between the next month here, I might send some stuff out to you guys. How do we feel about these? So that I can figure out if we need to go through that formal RFP phase, and then I can do that between now and our next meeting. So
Yeah, I'd say the sooner the better.
yeah.
Okay.
How long do the sidewalk
just gonna ask
signage, how long does that, what's the lifetime of?
Yeah, that's a good question. I know that Howell has had theirs since 2020, and it's still there, which is surprising.
Good paint.
Yeah, it's like a thick latex sort of stick-on thing that just is like there permanently, or not permanently, but for a while. So that's another thing, is finding out. I reached out to them to try to find out who installed that for them, but they never got back to me, so I might just reach out to them again. But I'll be sure to keep you guys in the loop on that.
Okay. Anything else? Hearing none, we'll move on to our next discussion item, which is the DDA parking lot landscape proposal.
Yes, so reached out to more landscaping, the township's lawn care guy. He provided us a plan that was around $23,000, and again, that was with I said, Carl, make this, what would you do to make this look good and adequate without going above and beyond? And he said, this is what I would do. So I said, all right, well, I don't think we're going to do that. So, but
Can you share that plan with us?
yes, actually, I do have that. That includes 21 yellow cypress plants, 3 weeping cherries, 16, Marie, what does that say?
Viburnums.
So we're on,
25 boxwoods, grasses 15 yards topsoil, 25 yards mulch, and then the cleanup of existing debris and tree removal. So he's actually doing that now just because it looks so bad in there. So he's ripping all that stuff out right now. So that's sort of the total right there. So
Okay, so this is the plan of where he's planting those.
yeah, so I'm gonna have to exit out of this actually. I'm gonna have to walk up here. I'm not sure if I can rotate this. But this is the north end. You're gonna have to tilt your head this way. So this is the north end. So when you drive into the parking lot, this is what he has. So he has some, the cherry trees right here, I think, and then just random plantings around. And it looks like when I scanned this in and put it into a PowerPoint, it came up with all these crazy fonts. So, and then the east side. So now you're actually looking at it correctly, just with your head straight up and down. He has all these. I think these are the boxwoods that he has here. Yellow cypress and what else here? Yeah, I'm not quite sure, but it's sort of the same thing here. Yeah, I don't know what the heck all this stuff is, but yeah. So this is his just sort of rough sketch of what he thought would look good in there without going above and beyond, and we could always kind of, take things out that we didn't like.
You and I talked, and the
Yes.
idea was that we're doing the pavement this year out of a cost of 30-some thousand. Right?
Correct. So we had initially started talking about the landscape plan because we weren't sure if we were going to be able to get the asphalt company to come and do the asphalt work that we approved in September of last year. Well, like 2 days ago, our engineers said that they were able to do an extension contract with Taylor to do asphalt for the DDA. So that's sort of the situation here. We can either do landscaping for, around $20,000 this year, and then do asphalt next year, or we could do asphalt this year and landscaping next year. So it's just that we budgeted $34,000 for the parking lot this year, so we'd be going with the $39,000 to do the asphalt. Would be going above $5,000 and above a budget for that. So.
And Ross and I talked, we'd do the parking lot. Our thought was that we would do the parking lot this year, landscaping next year.
it just makes sense because it's a parking lot. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it's like the trees can come later.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
I mean, how utilized, I mean, we need to clean it up, I don't disagree
Absolutely,
there.
yeah.
Yeah.
But, I mean, to beautify it, and, I mean, it just seems like we have other areas that we need to focus on.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, the concrete or the asphalt that's there is very bad. So I think that is very much needed. And to your point, Marie, I think that, it's nice to have trees and things in a parking lot, but if it's not an immediate need like pavement,
Yeah,
then
I agree.
yeah.
Put some low maintenance, like stone or landscape down and make it a parking lot.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Okay, so we're all in agreement, we're moving forward with the pavement this year, landscape next year.
Yes.
And Ross, can you send this, email this plan to us, the
Yeah,
landscape plan?
yep, will do, yep. Yeah, so, with talking with our engineers, they said that they could probably get, the company to come out and do it in July, so it'd be pretty quick.
You said that he's already doing the clearing out, right? So some of that cost is
Yeah, so it's really
the
like,
plants, right? And
yeah, so
the
it's really
plant.
about like 19 or 18.5
Yeah.
to do the plan that he had proposed, excluding the removal of everything there now, so.
Okay,
Cool.
Anything else in the landscape plan? Hearing none, move on to our next item, which is the DDA Director's Report. Ross, anything?
Nothing to report. Nope. Oh, master plan's going to be adopted next month. They approved the edits this past Monday. So I'm thinking we should have a plan so we can update Macomb Street zoning beginning late July, early August, at least the process for that. And since the DDA is going to be, a portion of it's going to be coming out of the DDA's budget because it is Macomb Street's zoning ordinances. It should be coming out of DDA's budget. But ultimately, Planning Commission has the final approval of updating zoning ordinances. There's going to be a lot of collaboration between the DDA and the Planning Commission. So for public meetings and meetings with the consultant, so there might be some needed flexibility. It's okay if you guys can't make those meetings. That we're probably going to have joint commission meetings, just so that there is that collaboration between two commissions for this project. So just wanted to keep in mind there might be needed an additional day out of the month to come by and just learn about zoning ordinances and provide your input and all that fun stuff. So
Ross, is final approval by the Township Board or by the Planning Commission of the master plan?
for the master plan, it's Township Board. Yep. I think for any zoning updates, Planning Commission has to make the recommendation to the Township Board too. So, but ultimately the Planning Commission is the one that's acting upon any zoning or policy changes. So.
Just a question. So for Lions Park, do we have projects like, is the art wall going up this summer, or?
We're still scheduled for late September. When did we checked in with Allie? That was about a month ago. She said everything's looking good.
Yeah, she said that the farmer's market has started.
Yep.
And she was going to be setting up their kind of June, July timeframe where people can, continue to make the tiles. And the expectation is that she would be done and be installing it in the fall.
Yep.
September-ish timeframe.
Yep.
That is the plan.
And they'll do all the work for that, the
Yeah.
wall and
Yes.
obviously the glass, but.
Yeah, the base is already there. I
Right.
mean,
Okay.
that's already been poured,
Yeah.
so they would just need to install the metal work on top of.
Yeah.
And I think the total cost of that came to 92, was it? 92,000?
I don't remember.
But 12,000 of that would be funded by the grant that we got from the state. So it'd be an $80,000 expense. So we do have some, when it comes to the DDA parking lot, we are able to take some funds from Lions Park to, we have a little bit of wiggle room with Lions Park
Are there other projects we can do at Lions Park with the funds?
We do have money. A couple things that we need to do and we've talked about but haven't got it done yet is to light the GI. And we also need to worry about installing an irrigation system there. Because as you know, we've got, 10 trees that are planted on the north property line that, aren't really watered other than just rainwater. So we do need to at least put in, some main lines and then, some lines coming off of the main to hit some of the landscape things that we have there now. So I think both of those things are things that we should get done, obviously, this season.
Yeah, and I think we also discussed planting trees on the west side. Once Allie's done with the sculpture, then putting in trees there. At least potentially exploring that option.
So when I was driving down the street the other day, the two artists were standing there, and they had just kind of stepped back and were kind of admiring their work, and I rolled my window down and yelled, cheered them on. And then I did notice that there's handprints on the GI now, so I don't know if all the seniors are on there, but there are handprints.
Cool.
Do you have a list from Kelly Chesser of the student, like, groups that are gonna be at the market every Saturday?
I think that I'd say about like 75% of them are filled.
Okay.
I haven't looked at that list.
Just to encourage everyone, I try on my way into work on Saturday mornings just do a quick drive-by, pick up a head of lettuce, get a cup of coffee from whatever student group is there, because I just think that's a really nice addition to the Saturday markets. It's whether it's marching band or cross country or whoever is there. Right. You know, they're our youth, and they're there, you know, selling coffee and donuts or whatever, along with the other vendors that are there. So I encourage your support to them.
How's participation last week? I didn't get up there.
It was solid. It was a little, it was a little
Yeah.
rainy. It was a little dreary. So, but how many, Marie? How many vendors would you say?
I didn't get to stop last week.
Okay. Yeah, I think that we had 6 to 8 vendors. So I noticed that the first 3, I think after Memorial Day, it's supposed to kind of pick up a little bit.
They did say that the community gardens did better. I think they can track week by week, you know, year to year. They did better opening weekend this year than they did last year. So
Oh, cool.
yeah.
Great.
Hopefully the weather will start getting.
It's
Yeah.
joyful.
Yeah.
And then we still have the big grant in application. Is that, do we still have,
We did not get it.
we did not.
Yeah. When I was looking, I forgot I think they awarded 39 projects. I mean, the projects each year are just getting crazier and crazier that they're awarding. I mean, how large scale they are and how detailed everything is. So I think that, you know, for as far as Lion Parks, as far as that park goes, I'm going to keep on applying for things that make sense. But, yeah, these projects that they're awarding, it's like waterfront parks and, you know, it's just insane. So, or like complete rehabilitation of buildings and, you know, and redevelopment areas that have strong moment, you know, where Grosse Ile, we're just a little quiet Grosse Ile, you know, competing against some of these, you know, pretty big communities. So, but, you know, we're gonna keep on applying, keep going.
Don't give up. Keep
Yeah,
trying.
no, I don't care. I'm gonna keep going.
One of these
so.
times we're gonna win, so.
Yeah, exactly. I did notice that one of the grants that they awarded was for streetscape, for like a complete redesign of a streetscape, which I thought wouldn't qualify for that grant. But I mean, so that's something to keep in mind for this, you know, moving forward is. And I know that like the Southeast Michigan Council of Governments always has grants out there for a lot of things. So I'm gonna keep on going.
Is there any discussion about going back to the township for a loan to speed up the project, or?
I don't think so. I think
Whatever.
that you know, at the last township board meeting, they just passed an action item to at least engage in discussions to purchase the lot across from Lions Park for a playground. So I think that's sort of their focus area. I think that the township's the next steps would be to assess the value of that property and then make an offer based off that value, because, you know, a township can't, you know, if he's asking for, let's just say, $500,000, something ridiculous like that, the township wouldn't be able to pay that because that's not the assessed value of that property. So they need to assess the value of it, and then they'll give him an offer, and then if he takes it, he takes it. If he doesn't, he doesn't. So,
And that's the reason for extending the DDA for another 20 years, is because of, you know, if we are needing funding and we need to borrow it or bond for it, we got to have an extension. Anything else, Russ?
nope, all good.
The next item is the chairman's report. The only thing I was going to mention is what Ms. Pusak already did, was that the GI at Lions Park has been painted by the senior class of the high school, and if you haven't been by it, please go by and see it. it's different, which is what we
Yeah.
wanted, so every year it's a different look, so
Nice.
great that they participated and got that done. Next item is the public comment. There's no one in the public today, so is there any open business from anyone on the board? Nothing, then I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Motion by Mr. Anderson,
Support?
support by Mr. Armiak to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Motion carries.
Needs to